You're watching Rurouni K95's anime review on Lupin the Third Series 1 Green Jacket series. Hi Rurounies, this is your pal Rurouni K95 here. Today's anime review, we're going to be reviewing the first series of Lupin the Third, which is the Green Jacket series for today's anime review. So, Lupin the Third is one of Japan's longest-living franchises, still generating numerous spin-offs and specials to this day, including the all CGI movie, which is Lupin the Third: The First, that came out last year. Based off of the manga in the same name by Monkey Punch, the series is about Lupin the Third, the grandson of French thief Arsène Lupin, who never fails to steal a target that sets his eyes upon. Lupin is aided by Daisuke Jigen, an excellent marksman who is heavily implied to be a former mafia member, and later by the stoic swordsman Goemon Ishikawa on occasion, and Fujiko Mine betrays Lupin just as frequently as she helps him. She often exploits Lupin's weaknesses for women to her own advantage. Lupin must also be aware of Koichi Zenigata, a bumbling inspector who has dedicated his life to capturing the thief. Although a pilot film was released in 1969, the Lupin franchise did not really take off until 1971, with its first television series initially somewhat controversial due to its level of violence and suggestive themes. The early episodes, directed by Masaki Osumi, are rather rough around the edges in certain places, and remain fairly loyal in overall tone to the original manga. Lupin the Third truly was the first anime series aimed to a more adult audience. It was product of the changing standards brought on by the cultural upheaval of the late 1960s. Some of the content in the first half of the series can be a bit surprising even today by today's standards. The body counts can be quite high, as Lupin is not below shooting his enemies, and the protagonists frequently get tangled up with criminal organizations. The drama remains tense throughout, and Lupin and his friends encounter many hardships uncommon, or rather unheard of, in American cartoons of the same time period. Black comedy and bizarre Mad Magazine-like humor is also common early on. Sex is never depicted on screen, which you would have seen that coming, but nevertheless is suggested, and certain episodes are quite racy at times. In one particular scene, Fujiko thanks Lupin for saving her and says, I just wish you would have come sooner. Lupin, upon seeing Fujiko's ripped clothes, and replies, no, I should have come later. Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata were later brought in to tone down the violence and innuendos. The series went under a major makeover. Slapstick humor and inspired sight gags become fairly common. Some of the violence remains, but is less mysterious and sinister in nature. Lupin becomes a more carefree and kinder character. He is far less of a playboy, and is even quite chivalrous at times. However, when he saves young girls from harm or steals money from the rich in a Robin Hood-esque manner, and Jigen becomes less temperamental, and Goemon's rivalry with Lupin cools down considerably. All of Lupin's allies are more willing to work with one another as well. Fujiko perhaps changes the most. Sexuality goes completely out the window with Miyazaki and Takahata at helm. Fujiko becomes far less seductive and begins to become more playful with Lupin. She is shown to be kidnapped less often and to be very capable. Also, Fujiko starts to be depicted in Miyazaki's trademark style. She begins to sport a short haircut, pilot airplanes, and frequently wear the color blue, depending on which of the color on the clothing as well. So the contrast parts of the show make it very interesting to watch indeed. The first few episodes are almost too cruel or over sexualized in places, while the later Miyazaki Takahata episodes can be overly goofy at times. Perhaps the best episodes are in the middle ones, which balance the drama and the grit of Osumi's direction with the boyish energy and more confident direction of the later Miyazaki Takahata ones. The sudden change in the show is not a bad thing. In fact, it makes Lupin the Third more enjoyable. And the greatest thing about this series is a great use of characterization and zany humor. Each Lupin episode can be viewed as self-contained story, say for the one where Goemon is introduced, but have enough references back to past episodes to keep fans watching. Much of the show's humor and tension comes from its cast's contrasting personalities. Lupin is smart but also very goofy at times and weak-willed around women. On the other hand, his partner Jigen is a no-nonsense guy who can't stand Fujiko. Goemon is even more stern. He is quite conservative and his ego frequently clashes it with Lupin's. Zenigata is so stubborn and so driven to catch Lupin that he constantly makes errors. The audience gets a lot of laughs out of his mistakes, but can sympathize with him as well. And Fujiko, however, despite how manipulative she can be at times, truly does care for Lupin. She never puts Lupin into situations that he cannot escape from, mourns, and she is led to believe that he has died. Once Fujiko even shoots her former partner, whom she was very close to, in order to save Lupin's life. Another interesting aspect is the series soundtrack by Takeo Yamashita, with the vocals provided by Charlie Kosei and occasionally Kayoko Ishu. The music is very distinctive and firmly fitting in the era Lupin the Third was created. It has sort of a post-Woodstock vibe to it. Charlie Kosei sounds a bit like Bob Dylan at times, and the soundtrack makes a heavy use of jazz, whistling, and scat lyrics. There are even English vocals throughout the score. This can be somewhat hilarious how the English can rather get nonsensical. Lupin the Third, he's a nice man, he gets angry sometimes, but he's a groovy guy. Yeah, Lupin the Third. That's how you hear in the lyrics. It should also be noted that the music of Lupin the Third, an overall darker mood of the series' first half, had a great influence on Shinichiro Watanabe, who is the creator of Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo. The animation of Lupin the Third is dated, yes, but that is practically unavoidable for a TV series that is over 40 years old. Even the characters are rather static in certain scenes. The animation for this show is very fluid in comparison to other anime and American cartoons released at the same time. The character designs have aged fairly well, as they have not changed too much over the years. Great attention is given to drawing realistic-looking guns, cars, motorcycles, airplanes, and other such machines. The detailed style of inanimate objects would carry on to Miyazaki's later work, due to his love of flight and appreciation of mechanics. Miyazaki's father was an aeronautical engineer who created plane parts during World War II. The original Lupin the Third series is not perfect, but that's part of its charm. But it is how it is, of how Lupin the Third is. The grittier, more adult half of Lupin really helped push anime into unfamiliar territory and further distance from itself from American cartoons. The later half of the show was a stepping stone for Miyazaki and Takahata, who later became two most of the respected anime directors to ever live. Lupin is not only historically important, but has great wacky humor and well-developed characters. So despite Lupin having a rather rough start in its age, the series remains a favorite among many hardcore anime fans, and perhaps of mine as well. Yeah, because Lupin the Third only lasted about, technically, over how 23 episodes from October 24th, 1971, and until March 26th, 1972. Yeah, because it's what it is for every series of Lupin the Third. And if I get to cover one of the other Lupin the Third anime series, then I'll look back on my previous anime reviews on the other Lupin movies and specials that I've already looked back on my previous anime review as well. Yeah, because Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata has recently moved from Toei to Tokyo Movie, or TMS Entertainment, in order to begin the pre-production on an adaptation of Pippi Longstocking. When that work was cancelled, they were chosen replacements for Sumi by Otsuka, who had previously worked with them at Toei episodes. Following Omusumi's departure, either did not approve a directorial credit or accredited a production team of directors in place of Miyazaki and Takahata. Due to the schedule of the series, many episodes are a mix of influences between Osumi, Takahata, and Miyazaki. Episode 9 was the final episode that Osumi had a full creative control. Unlike Osumi, Miyazaki and Takahata agreed to make several changes to the series, any of which were based on their own perspectives regarding the source material. They immediately set out to remove what they perceived as a sense of apathy from the series, which they felt also evidently in society. To achieve this, gave the characters a more positive outlook. Lupin would become a happy-go-lucky and upbeat. Jigen would be a friendly, cheery fellow, while Fujiko's cheap eroticism was removed, and Goemon Ishikawa's anarchistic nature was used for an occasional comic relief. These changes lead to a lack of unity in the visuals as a duality. The music for the series was composed by Takeo Yamashita, with many of the songs were performed by Charlie Kosei. Yeah, because Lupin the Third Part 1 anime series is my favorite, I guess. So that's going to be it for my anime review on Lupin the Third Green Jacket anime series from 1971 for today's anime review. Thank you for watching, but before we go, here's my thoughts about it. Even though I have finished watching about 23 episodes of Lupin the Third Part 1 series, I considered it the first of the Lupin the Third anime series, which started the Lupin the Third franchise, because I considered this to be my favorite anime, because Lupin the Third is the best of the bunch, is what Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata had a lot to do with for when they were making the episodes for Lupin the Third, I guess. Hope subscribe for content. My Anime Planet, link in the description down below. Share this video on Twitter and Facebook. If you have a Twitter and Facebook account and all social media, be sure to give this video a thumbs up by clicking the like button on this video. Feel free to leave it in the comments in the comment section below as well. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, RuRoniK95. Feel free to join my channel. Click on my notifications bell button. Check out my videos that I'm uploading as well. So keep it otaku for my anime review on the Lupin the Third Green Jacket anime series from 1971, because this is the first time I get to do an anime review on one of the Lupin the Third series. I'll get to cover one of the other Lupin series in the future for the most part of my previous anime review, I guess. And also I got for one more thing for the next anime review for surprises here. Stay tuned for my next anime review, starting with my anime review on Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. Stay tuned for my next anime review on Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F, because you won't want to miss it.